So here we have a D16Y7 with a thrown rod, catastrophic failure, and I'll be taking it down to the bear block today and seeing what's up. You can see already down here, that's what shot the piece of rod out. Alright, got the head bolts out, just cut the timing belt, head's about to come off, and I'm guessing we will see number 4 piston not in sync with number 1, because I think number 4 is where the thrown rod is. But let's see if I can do this with one hand. And I was right. There's number 4 not looking so hot. Number 1, 2, 3. But yeah, you can definitely tell it was hurting. Number 4 hasn't been running for a while. Looks a little rusty in there. So I'm going to flip it over, take the oil pan off, and see what kind of chunks fall out. Alright, just took all the oil pan bolts off, and I will pry this open for you guys right now. I wonder if they use adhesive or something for the gasket. There we go. Ooh, that's a good one. A little bit of the rod cap there. Yeah, I see a bit of the rod bolt down in that oil passage. You can see it's banging around in there for quite a bit. Block is cracked. Pickup is full of metal shavings. Damn. Oh, here's the rest of the rod. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's part of the rod and the rod cap. There's a tangs for the bearing. Rod. Other side of the rod. A little bit of bearing for you. I don't know where that chunk went. And this bottom half looks really dark. Oh, there's that. There's a piece of that girdle right there. I'll go ahead and get the girdle off, and we'll check out the other bearings, see how they're doing. So I guess technically the girdle would be okay, right? Because the oil passage actually hasn't been busted. It's just the kind of reinforcement part. Not that I'd run it, but yeah. Damn, girdle's on so tight. So yeah, this engine was hurting. The main bearings all look pretty trashed. See all that copper through there? And when you set it back down on the crank, it's too shrunk. Like the heat shrunk the bearing. There's 2 more that stayed on the girdle. Not looking so hot. This one not looking so hot. Same with that. Onto the rods. So like I said, number 4 is the one that threw the rod, which makes sense. It is the farthest away from the oil pump, so if there's any sort of oiling issues, 4 would be the one to go, right? Yeah, that bearing is looking pretty bad. 3 wasn't looking so good. Oh, and the crank looks jacked up too. That was about to go. Oh, damn, the bearing fell. Oh no, the rod bolt fell out of the rod. The bearing is actually right here and looking like garbage. That crank's not looking so hot either. But I guess, you know, once this one went, there's a ton of metal in the oil, and that would jack up the other ones, of course. Number 1, yeah, that rod bolt fell through as well. Same deal with the bearing shot. Crank is looking jacked up. Oh man, if I push these pistons through, there's a ton of oil kind of in the cup underside of the piston, so I'm gonna have to get some rags ready. But I'll pop all the pistons out and just see how they're doing. So I'll have to pop out pistons number 1, 2, and 3 off camera because I need to have a paper towel ready. But number 4, the thrown one, is pretty dry, so I'll go ahead and pop that out right now. Oop, just dropped everything through the block. This piston was not having a good day. It's got some rub marks down here. Skirt's all jacked up. I think from the this piece slapping on it. Oh yeah, on both sides. All could have been avoided if you just check your oil. The unhappy looking pistons, you can see on number 1 it was starting to spin. It's really squished down. It's not looking good at all. You can still see the tang right there. It's all squished out on the sides. 2, same deal. Except now, oh yeah, you can see that bit of metal there from the bearing. Oh yeah. Nice. And then 3, I lost the bearing. I don't know where it went. But yeah, that's kind of about it. Even with all the pistons out, the crank is pretty reluctant to rotate. It's just really stiff and stuck in there. I just have the oil pump and the rear main on. Crazy. So moral of the story is just check your oil or you're going to have a bad time, just like this.